Welcome back to the FACEIT Global Summit, and I am here in the Team Liquid pod. I've infiltrated and I found myself a wild Santi. Santi, you were going off at the start of that round. Gone are the days of Liquid being careful, easy with the rotations. It's just pure aggression now. You really want to be in that final this weekend.
I mean, we didn't play that aggressive early game. There was just a couple scouters came to our compound and we took the kills.
So what you're saying is when we get onto Erangel, if Cloud9 come for you in Pachinki, it's not going to go their way?
We'll see. I don't want to say anything yet.
You don't want to say anything, okay, Santi, but I know a man who does. James, I think you've probably got something to say to Nerf from Cloud9, haven't you?
Yeah. I love you, Nerf.
He doesn't really. He doesn't really. If anything on Twitter's to go by. I mean, actually, James, did you do any actual practice yesterday, or did you spend your whole day fishing on Twitter?
I spent most of my day fishing on Twitter, but I practiced for a couple hours.
Just a couple of hours, keeping it casual. Did you watch any of the streams yesterday?
Yeah, I watched all the games, yeah.
Anyone particularly impress you? Anyone scare you from Group C?
I have too much ego to get scared.
I'm actually kind of scared of him right now, so I'm gonna wander over to Ibby. Ibby was really, really impressive in that round towards the end of the fifth, sixth phase when you guys were on the low ground. You stuck it out until the bitter end, narrowly missing out on that chicken dinner. Yeah. How did you guys manage to hold that position? Because many other teams would have just died.
I mean, we played it slow. The blue was coming towards us, so we're in the compound, so we knew that everyone had to come towards us. So we cleaned up a few teams, and then we pushed Wind Strike, and basically our side was completely free after that. So.
Were you even aware that Airwolf 1 were there, though? Because suddenly Katu jumped out and he took out 2 of Tempo Storm. I didn't even know that they were still alive.
No, I wasn't. I didn't know that too. I thought there were only like 1 or 2 guys, and they were still alive at the top. Zempa got me. I was kind of unfortunate. So, yeah, kind of surprising, to be honest.
And how important is it for you guys to have a good early game? Because yesterday you didn't pick up a chicken dinner in the first round, but you had a fantastic second round. It was a little bit difficult towards the end of the day.
It's important to have a good first game because you have a lot of momentum, and it just flows over to the other games. So it's important.
And how are you going to carry on this momentum for the rest of the day? Because I know you don't want to play tomorrow. I know you want to be in that top 8.
We're like a team. We just go with the flow. We'll see game by game and improve, and that's how we do it.
And then finally, I'm going to come over to Jempty. Now, I've never actually got to interview Jempty before, so I'm very excited. And I'm actually almost not sure what to ask, because this is my dream come true. Oh, what shall I ask? What shall I ask? OK, Jempty, who is the best team here apart from you?
I think 17 Gaming from China.
Is it because of their nade action? What is it about 17 that you think is so scary?
I don't know. I think they have cool strategies and good shooters.
But are we going to see you beat 17? Are you just going to go for them, kill them?
Yeah, of course we're going to beat them.
And finally, actually, you know what? I didn't get to ask Ibby this, but OMG, they're coming for you. But do you think that you can beat them in a team fight?
Yeah, I don't think OMG is that strong in this tournament.
Well, I'll let the desk break that down. But before we head back to them, I want to say a massive thanks to HyperX, one of our sponsors. They are the makers of the Predator DDR4 RAM. It's high performance memory, and it's powering all our computers here at the ICC Auditorium at London's Excel. So let's head back to the desk and see what they made of Jempty.
Thank you very much. We're getting ready for a fight up here as we battle here, and we're going to be going on to Miramar once again. They're looking that way because they're way off cue, but it's fine. They're smooth criminals, emphasis on criminals. To my right-hand side, of course, Toffee's an Avenger. We do have now our next Miramar game coming up. Nice to check in with Team Liquid, of course, after all of that situation went down. James, though. That James, that little James.
Speaks a big game online, but he doesn't want to bring it on camera.
You know, there's not much in this world like a James memes, and I got to say he brought the heat, but at the end of the day, it's a lot about mind games. I mean, some of these regions have told us that that's a big part. I mean, if you go to NPL, it's like that used to be a ghost strategy at every single event they went to. A lot of other teams have picked up on it's a mental game, and maybe if you're looking to be aggressive for revenge, you make mistakes.
I've had some teams like in previous tournaments some time ago ask me like, how do we ensure that we get this spot? I'm just what I say to them first, just go up straight. Who do you expect them drop? Just talk to them. Like, yeah, it's gonna be fun tomorrow. Like, just bring the heat immediately. I'm looking forward to killing you guys. Like, just that, because that's like getting in early and getting into the mental game. That's great, and I love to see these guys doing it as well.
If you go back to Oakland and some of the early events, I would talk to teams and they'd be like, well, here's our drop, but don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
And then over the course of the next 3 events, now I have teams who will like literally message me first and go, we're dropping here, would you mind tweeting it?
Yeah.
Just because they want to get it out there. And like, scare other people off.
And it's actually one of the more interesting things about PUBG as an esport in itself, because there are these cerebral moments, this kind of cerebral plays and psychological warfare that does go on outside and inside the game when you're at an event like this, because every organization is represented throughout the entire tournament. They're all there, and they all are constantly going at each other inside and outside the game.
And that's why I love this so much, because it's constantly have teams fighting. Like, it's in one game, when we're having 6 games today, in one game you have Cloud9, Liquid, another game you have NIP, and somebody that we've never seen before, Incognito. We have so many regions represented here. That's what is so interesting.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. It's time to get into Miramar once again here. We only have 2 more matches of Miramar in the group stage to go for day number 3. It's time to head over to our commentary team once again. It's Matrim as well as Paper Thin. Boys, go, 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 go.
Thank you so much, Analyst Desk. My name is Matcham. I am joined here by Paper Thin, and we're going to be moving into round 2 of Miramar. Kind of a slow start today, but that's no surprise. It's the last day of the group stage, so everybody's just trying to play for as much points as humanly possible, but let's be real. First game, always a little bit like, okay, where's everybody going? What's happening? Second game, time to bring the violence.
Yeah, it felt like the first 2 days, we were just so active throughout the entire broadcast. I felt like I didn't have much time to breathe. And now it's like a normal PUBG broadcast today. It's like these teams have kind of figured each other out. They figured out where they're going to land, and things in the beginning aren't, as crazy as they were for those first couple days. So I like it. It means that these teams are really taking this seriously. They're really trying, and it's really important to get as many points as you can, especially if you're facing relegation here.
Well, I love the fact that we got Frankie down there just trying to spice things up a little bit, going back into the memes with James over there. And we got our drops coming into play. Plane path's nothing too terribly scary. If you're an El Pozo dropper, it might be a little bit rough for you. Maybe if you're Puerto Paradiso, nothing really too bad, all things considered. Everybody's just going to be making their normal drops. No big crazy rotations probably coming into play.
Yeah, it looks like Arrow Wolves T7 have decided on Valle del Mar as their drop location. Early on, it looked like they were kind of unsure where to go, but since nobody was dropping Valle, I think they decided that that was a nice, safe location for them to go. And I like that. They didn't have the greatest game last one. Their sister team, of course, taking the win. And it looks like they're heading out to the east here, as well as Entus Forest. Looks like they're going to be going La Bandita again. Of course, Tempo Storm seems to have control over Impala. They seem to have ousted OP Gaming Rangers, who are now going way south, kind of by Crystal Luster. So we said we might have a little bit of a more slow start, but I don't know. Maybe OP Gaming Rangers and Crystal Luster might have a little bit of interaction here.
I just want a little bit crazier of a circle. Don't give me a center circle this time around. I want to see these guys have to do some crazy rotations. I want to see them have to think. I want to see them have to adapt. That's what you want. I know everybody likes it whenever it's like, oh, hey, it's really fair when everybody jumps in the middle and it just keeps staying center. I don't see that as fair. I want to see the best teams have to outsmart each other and really make some awesome plays. That's why I like really cruel circles. And hey, not the nicest circle coming into play, as it's going to be over towards the east.
Yeah, the circle went way northeast here, so it's centered kind of around El Azahar, as you can see on your screen. Windstrike taking up the northern part of the circle here. Other teams in the middle. Entus Force has done an interesting 2-2 split here. Only 2 members dropping La Bendita this time. The other one's heading up near Junkyard there. Babo still in the air, and he is just floating on his way down, trying to get down as quickly as he can. BB making their way up to El Pozo, so it looks like they have claimed the El Pozo real estate, and Windstrike is content to move up to the north.
This is a really interesting spot to have a circle, specifically if it keeps going up towards the north. It doesn't necessarily get a lot of play inside of competitive, but there's a lot of really sneaky little ridges, places that you can kind of hide along. Last time we saw that cliff face kind of being the big factor inside of it, which is kind of rough because then it's you're either on top of it or you're not. Whenever you're in this part of the map, there's a lot of little trenches that you can move through and these little footpaths that make for some crazy rotations.
Yeah, especially the area just south of El Azahar. I really like that location for an ending circle, because there's some compounds in there, but there's all this really interesting terrain and other things going on. So we don't know for sure where it's going to end up yet, but it's way up there. And this is OMG, who are looking at who once again, a slow start to the day, and they're a team that historically has been a great PUBG team. Can they turn it around here?
At some point, you can't keep saying slow start again. They're just going to be done at some point because they're not going to make it through the next rounds. OMG has to turn it on. They have to be that team that we were seeing through PGI, and it just hasn't happened. We've seen a couple of like nice plays coming out of their guys. I mean, Lion KK is probably like one of the most heralded people that we were talking about we really wanted to see show up and perform here. And he's had a couple of moments, but not enough of them to really string anything together to get them the points they need.
Right. 4 AM and 17 Gaming have really overshadowed them as far as teams from the Doyu Legends League have come along. And Crystal Leicester, they're kind of doing what I expected coming into this tournament. If you watch them, they're extremely passive. They wait for late rotations. We saw them late in the previous match go way to the north after they were already in the circle. They went way to the north and re-rotated, and this is pretty common stuff from them, and it really hasn't worked out for them.
I'm glad you bring up the far north rotations. With a circle like this, you usually have to assume if you're a player, okay, there's not going to be a lot of people up towards the north, which leads into that kind of double thinking situation that happens in PUBG a lot. So we're going to have a couple of teams that might do really far northern rotations, and we might have a couple of them that go, okay, everybody's going to go up to the north, so I need to find a different path. I wouldn't be surprised if you can see where OP Rangers are at, if they kind of take that road that's way over towards the east. That could be pretty common. I don't think that we're going to see too many people kind of come along the southwestern part of the circle. It's either going to be just north, south, or just smack dab through the middle.
Yeah, there just isn't as much room to maneuver in the western part of this circle. It's a lot flatter. There's there's some fields and other things going on there. There's a lot of roads, and all the roads in Miramar are pretty exposed for the most part. So it's a lot harder to come from those angles. Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. A lot of teams are going to be coming from the south or like way around like maybe even the northeastern edge. Windstrike kind of controls that area right now, but it looks like they're already starting to move central. But okay, we have a fight here between Aerowolves 1 once again putting some shots onto Adam from SDK.
So we're going to have a little bit of a recap of what happened this last time. Adam gets taken down by a beautiful grenade. Shoot to kill just gets caught in rotation again at the very start of the game, losing Adam this time around. So with this, you can see today's leaderboard. Keep in mind, guys, this is just today, so this is just from the first round that we've seen so far. Give you an idea on how everything's shaping up. Next, we've got Aerowolves 1 that's up at the top of it, Team Liquid back behind it. We got Incognito rolling down that cliffside. I think that vehicle is upside down. Lion KK, you guys need these points, and it's going to be Waikikamukow that says, no, you cannot go that direction, is going to force them back away from this.
Some great defensive shooting there from Waikikamukow to keep Joxy alive there. It looked like maybe they'd be able to land the spray onto him, but the vehicle is flipped, or they're changing vehicles. The other one is kind of stuck there, so Waikikamukow and Joxy getting out of dodge. They don't want any part of this battle right now, and I think that's a pretty wise start to this match.
Their other card might have a couple of problems with it, given the way we saw it just rolling and flipping down that hillside there. So, oh, look, we've got a crate that's going to land over, and Zampa's going to run and pick it up. Team Liquid on the move, except for EB. Apparently, EB's thinking about getting in that motorcycle. Oh, no, they're just going to go ahead and roll together. Why take a Bronco when you can take a motorcycle instead? Specifically, I like this because we talked about how hilly and there's all those regions that are up towards this part of the map. They're switching away from the four-wheeled vehicles and trying to use the two-wheeled vehicles so they get that extra little bit of maneuverability.
Right, right. The motorcycles handle really, really well on this map, especially if you can control kind of the wildness, the bucking Bronco of it. The Bronco is a vehicle, but in this case, I'm talking about how the vehicles will move on the terrain here. You can see VSG. They are moving way to the north, which is a pretty typical VSG thing to do. They like to drop on the northern side of the maps, come in from the northern angles. A little more difficult to do on Miramar than Erangel, but this is their MO. This is what they've always done, and I like them going back to their game.
So the rotations that we're seeing come into play are HQs making their way towards the north, VSG, probably BB as well. Team Liquid in a little bit of a skirmish again with Aerowolf 1. These guys are just not afraid of early game skirmishes. So with this, EB's looking back up this hillside. Going to have two right up next to him. Actually, just one right over here next to him. It's going to be the grenade comes out. Icky, nice shots coming out from this. So grenades are going to land on the other side of it. Hexagon's going to retreat back off. So Team Liquid does have the numbers advantage right up next to Aerowolf 1, but now it's all about scanning the horizon. Hexagon's still in that far forward position.
Right, you got RDK there on the southern flank trying to keep his team alive, not allowing Jeems to get over there. Quite a bit of damage being done to Jeems, and Team Liquid has decided this fight is not the one they want, and they are trying to get out. Could RDK get those shots into Jeems? Not quite.
Look at this. Aerowolf 1. These guys just love to fight in these first couple of circles. They have a lot of little tricky positions that they like to take up and try to catch people in rotations, and it's getting them a couple points here and there and kind of opens the door for their late game.
Right, exactly. They're not allowing teams to really bully them, which is great. I think that's a real statement they need to make here. That win, obviously a big first statement, and now they're saying, look, we're from Southeast Asia. We're a real region. We can compete. We've seen Armory Gaming do it yesterday, and today it's Aerowolves T1 bringing the heat.
Got Cloud9 making their rotations, going to be pushing back over in this, and Team Liquid finding themselves in another little bit of a situation, taking some long-range shots back over towards NIP, but this is just going to be a little bit more of a feeling situation as they're just trying to stop them from moving too much further forward. NIP on foot, just moving on the other side of that ridge, but Team Liquid's going to lose sight on them just based on how the terrain plays in that area.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to see a couple of these teams like to just move on foot. And you talked to me about a lot about this outside of the broadcast match room. Like teams that like to move on foot because of, you know, the vehicles can be quite dangerous in transition just because players are so good at ripping them apart. And Bard is looking to try to get some shots onto Ibiza and that double motorcycle. A few hits landing, but so far nothing too substantial. Oh, they hit the tree!
That's kind of rough. So they're going to be able to, looks like they might be able to get away from that. Everybody's going to have to step back and reload. But yeah, you can kind of see the benefit of moving on foot. Nobody really likes to be on foot on Miramar because you feel like you're just running for forever. But if you move along certain paths, you can really pick up a couple of points, get in a couple of fights as you're making that walkthrough because everybody's expected to be in vehicles at this point, and suddenly you can get a couple of nice sprays, get some downs on a few people. And I gotta say, I think that's what Aerowolf seems to be doing on a regular basis, moving early, getting in position, and just kind of start walking along different paths.
Yeah, this is one of the things I wrote down in my notes coming in today about Aerowolves T1 is that they make aggressive early rotations. This time they were in the circle, so they didn't really need to do that. But if they're outside of the circle, they are perfectly happy to do that.
Mosh, what are you doing? Your vehicle's rolling down the hill. It's going to end up over into the ocean. You're just outside in the blue. You've got Crystal Luster on the other side of this, trying to take some shots at him. Finally connects with one of them. I think he's going to have to run back over next to this other vehicle, but it's just a sniper. Got the fancy feet, but the fancy feet are not enough as Datmosh goes down.
Sick shooting here from Weishi. Datmosh last round, I caught this in the kill feed. He suicided and ended up dying. Now he gets caught outside of the circle and goes down. Another difficult start here for Aerowolf T7. OMG setting up on the southwestern part of the circle. This is, again, OMG's MO. They always like to land on the southwestern part of either map, and then they rotate into the southwestern parts of the circle and try to control that. Hasn't worked out for them so far.
You said you love those hills just south of El Alzar. Look at that. We're going to be where we're going to right now. Long rotations from the north from BB are still making their way up over there. Tempo Storm and OP Rangers still kind of looking at each other. They haven't had to do too long of a rotation. Both these guys kind of along this spot, but see BB just hanging outside in the blue, finally going to start making their way into the safe zone here in just a second. A couple of teams opting in for a very late rotation, and there's going to be a couple of teams already posted up and waiting for them.
Yeah, BB and Crystal Luster coming in on opposite sides of the circle here. Pretty standard stuff from Crystal Luster. They're always coming in late, and they're going to be rolling up right behind Incognito. We'll see if they opt to have a battle there. Meanwhile, the Aerowolves still trying to pick off teams coming towards them. RDK scouting out NIP here, trying to land a few hits with that M4. Not much doing. He's going to back off a little bit. They're pretty spread out here. A little bit of a 2-2 split with RDK and Hexagon down here on the southern end, but I think RDK has decided that now might be the time to get a little more central and try to play for the inevitable, next circle shift that will most likely move away from them.
But showing the merit of Miramar and high ground, without a doubt. Aerowolves are putting on a show with this, so you can see that they like to move into high ground spots, get a lot of information, take shots, force people to rotate how they want to rotate, and that gives them more and more control over their sectors. And then whenever they still have those high ground spots, they can get those nice shots. So trying to repeat what paid off for them so well last time, but Team Liquid and Windstrike taking a couple of shots back and forth as now it looks like James and Samty are going to stop down right down below Windstrike, so not the best sight lines back over on this angle, but Shoot to Kill also looking back over to Team Liquid as well.
Yeah, and you got AHQ way out there, taking a few pot shots at Windstrike, a few landing onto Tixu, just a little bit of damage here, but Windstrike doing a nice job setting up here. Team Liquid having to make a pit stop at the gas station. Okay, Aizhao trying to land some shots here onto Shura, a little bit of damage. He's trying to block out the 3 remaining members of AW7 who are just trying to find any way they can to get into this circle. Crystal Luster having to back off here though, as Aizhao is pretty much all alone, but Long coming in for reinforcement.
Long-range shots coming out from Crystal Luster provide a little bit of cover onto this. And keep in mind, this is Airwolves 7, not Airwolves 1 that we were watching just a second ago. So Creighton now landed back over here next to Force, and they should be able to pick that up. Oh, never mind. They just don't want to have anything to do with it as they're driving down that hillside. A couple of shots going to connect with them. But you can see the circle. Everybody's going to have to continue making their way back over towards the north. And almost everybody else already inside the circle at this point. So Crystal Luster and AW7 going to have to figure out how they want to take this fight.
Yeah, it looks like Weishi's going to have to relocate a little bit. Those grenades are coming quite close to hitting him, so he wants to back off, regroup with the rest of his team. They're setting up a pick here. They do not want to let AW7 through them.
Crystal Luster just kind of doing a take a couple of shots, retreat back, get into a new position. That seems to be their strategy moving forward, but they're not getting the downs to really give them the control over the fight that they really want. Team Liquid also just passing right up into this spot, getting themselves another nice control point.
Wouldn't it be cool if you could fuel up at those gas stations? You could refuel your vehicles. You don't even need a gas can. You just walk up to it and you're like, okay, I got to refuel.
I never thought of that, and now I'm slightly annoyed that I can't. Because don't tell Miramar where you're driving for forever, you know, give us a spot to go for it.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean,
give us there were more gas cans there, because that's what bothers me. You like, there's the hospital in Erringa where you can, like, you'd think that there'd be a lot of meds, and then there's never feels like there's meds there, and you'd think that the gas stations would have gas cans.
Yeah, you'd like to think that, but the way the loot works, we kind of can't let that happen. It'd just be a little bit bizarre and change up how things would work. But yeah, you're right. I'd love to have the hospital have a little bit more healing items in it.
Yeah, Incognito taking a couple of shots at Airwolf 7, who just continue to have a rough time making it inside the zone. Airwolf 1 on the other side of this, looking back over towards AHQ, who I don't think that they're aware that they might have a problem coming their way in a second.
Yeah, they're just trying to find a way to get up this hill, you know, kind of hoping that they don't run into too much resistance here. They're starting to edge up a little bit of cover here for Winner. I don't know if he quite saw RDK there. He might have been able to. And Nerf, oh, he's ripping a member of BB. It's KR10 getting straight away taken down.
Nerf looking back over on that other angle, gets himself the down and the flush, as again you can see the vehicle catches some airtime rolling off into the distance. BB taking now a couple of shots back over towards Lobes, who should be able to make it cover just fine. So we've got Cloud9 looking back and forth onto this. BB finding themselves in a little bit of a rough spot. They've got a couple of control points that they can play around, but both these teams right next to the edge.
Yeah, BB here having to back off and lick their wounds just a little bit. KR10 trying to get that rotation scouting information for them, but Cloud9 was very ready for it. And here's Sato trying to land some shots with that SLR onto Nerf. Nothing really doing here, so it looks like they might relocate. RDK, will he opt to take the shot here? Oh, it looks like AHQ is taking some damage from, or probably shooting at some other teams. Okay, some really nice shots coming in from RDK. He gets the knock onto CC.
He was the trap, waiting for them to push forward. AHQ just has one go down. Everybody spins back over. RDK does take a little bit of damage off of this. The rest of the Arrow Wolves are going to have to see how they make this play out, and good push coming out. That's going to take down SR. Now we've got Icky just running right up into this, going to go ahead and flush him down. Now Winner off on one angle with K3. K3 hasn't even made it inside the safe zone. On the other side of this, we've got Airwolf 7 that's in a lot of trouble. Two members down at the direct time. As you can see, Crystal Luster's caught up. And these guys have been fighting for quite a while, so now getting a little bit of control over this area. That's going to be a flush onto Datmosh and probably Godly here in just a second as well.
Great 2-2 split here from CL. They've got two members up front. Weishi covering with that M24, absolutely ripping people apart with it. This is really excellent play from CL here to block AW7 out. They've just massacred them. There's only one member left.
Crystal Luster is like, no, your home is now the blue zone. You don't get to actually come play the rest of this game. Finally steps over, and that shot goes just a little bit wide, but Weishi, just nice shots coming out from here.
Yeah, I love to see these bolt-action sniper rifles. They're one of the most exciting things in competitive PUBG, when they can start landing those headshots and other things like that. We saw Star-Lord do it yesterday. Weishi's pulling it out today. I love to see it. I think it's a really fun mechanic, and I'm kind of looking forward to, you know, they nerfed the snipers a little bit in the newest patch in 28, but in 27, you know, they got a little bit of a buff, so I like to see that kind of interaction.
New circle has popped and shifted over towards the west, so we've got Incognito that's going to be having to push up next to OMG. Crystal Luster is going to have to finish off their fight, make their way over there. Team Liquid, they're feeling pretty good about their location. They're still caught up on the edge, but it's kind of rough where they're at. You can see people can just make their way down that hill right next to them. Windstrike's been hanging out there for quite a while, so they're kind of repositioning, expecting somebody to have to push down that hillside. We got Cloud9 that's going to have to do a long rotation. Looks like they're going to opt into running running back down towards the south. This is where that Crystal Luster and Airwolf 7 fight has been happening, and you can see it's going to be Incognito taking a couple of shots on the other side of this as Airwolf 7 is now out. Airwolf 1 still being quite strong, though.
This is a really big rotation here from C9. Nerf getting the knock on the long really quickly. Starlord fighting the OP Rangers here up on the northeastern side of the circle. He gets some damage down. We've got one knock. Oh, a grenade coming right under his feet. It looks like it just doesn't quite get him, but Hulk getting knocked by Tamaria in this fight.
Starlord is just walking up and forward, and look at this. VSG just steps up and takes the high ground away from OP Rangers. Just one member alive on the outside of this, and it's going to be Mental. He's got some great shots with this, but 2 members right now down for VSG, playing inside the smokes, trying to figure out how they want to handle this last member. Another grenade connects from the OP Rangers. Nice shots coming through there. HQ does get eliminated inside the skirmish, as well as Cloud9 as they made their push, but Incognito running right along Crystal Luster here.
Yeah, Crystal Luster trying to get ahead of this rotation. It's going to be really difficult. There's a lot of teams that want that real estate. Incognito, OMG. Mental is doing absolute work. He does get taken down by Hulk, but my goodness, Mental, what a valiant effort there from the MVP of the PKL.
So now VSG has to go around and chain res. On the other side of this, we've got Team Liquid that finally does get caught up with Windstrike, takes it down and the flush into this. We got Tempo Storm still holding their high ground positioning, taking some shots on the other angle. Airwolf 1 hears this, but remember they were kind of running a weird kind of situation going on. Shoot to Kill now caught up with remnants of BB as Blue Bees get eliminated in 12th from a nice grenade coming out from Halo.
And that is a really fortunate situation for VSG. They need to get these reses up. It bought them enough time to get at least one. It looks like they're trying to go for Starlord, but STK is up on the hill. The Aerowolves looking to fight with Windstrike over here. They're doing such a good job keeping these teams out.
But Aerowolf is trying to meet up. Remember, they were running that 2-2 split. They were running the vehicle back over here, but Icky, nice shots back over on this other angle. So the vehicle flips as they were trying to make the cross, so that's going to put 2 of their members in a terrible spot. You can see now having to retreat back over towards the shack. We've got Team Liquid on one side of it, Windstrike on the other, and we've got Airwolf 1 right in the middle in between them. So often this one member now just caught out off of that really rough rotation.
I don't like to use the word unfortunate much in competitive gaming, but that was a little bit unfortunate there for Aerowolves 1.
No, look at this. No. Shoot to Kill just walks up and is mopping up VSG. All the work that OP Rangers put in, STK is just capitalizing on as they're getting control of this high ground. 2 members still up for VSG, but you can see Shoot to Kill taking more and more control over this high ground. Juanita just looking up, waiting to see if anybody's going to go for a peek.
Yeah, it looks like the other members of SDK looking to get the flank here, wisely so, but this is a nice little lip that VSG has here. Now, that from their southern flank, they're exposed, but I don't know. It's going to be really tough for them.
Zampa just runs right up into the face of Purdy Curdy. That's 1, 2 down coming up from Tempo Storm. Alo's going to try to follow it up as well. Sharky catching some airtime. That's going to be your boy Dre getting dropped off the back of it. Sharky, the last member up from Tempo Storm off of a rotation that just murdered them.
Wow, this is really, really crazy stuff here. Tempo Storm tried to rotate up into here, but SDK turns on a dime, wipes out 3 of their members. It's just up to Sharky now for Tempo Storm.
Airwolf 1 still alive as they are fighting in the shade of the bullets that are going over their heads between Team Liquid and Windstrike. Windstrike trying to separate out, make their way back down towards the south. In the position that Team Liquid's at, they can kind of gatekeep out what's going on. NIP very aware of what's happening off to one side of him as OMG's taking shots on the other side. Bard taking a lot of damage, but should make it back over to safety. No big deal off of that. Grenade coming out very long range, going to force Aerowolves back down that hill.
Yeah, Aerowolves here in a bit of a tricky position. They're on the edge of the circle with Team Liquid putting pressure on. Some more grenades. Hexagon goes down from a grenade from Gemty. Icky trying to scoot his way out. He takes some damage from another grenade from Team Liquid. Team Liquid on the hunt.
They are just choke holding Aerowolves right now. 2 members down, just the last guy up, and they know exactly where he is. He's going to have to make his way forward. He's got the blue that's coming up right back behind him. There's nowhere to go. Windstrike also looking like they didn't want a part of what was going over there with NIP, so now making their way back over here towards Team Liquid. That might be a little bit of a distraction, but I'm willing to bet one member. Yep, EV was just looking right over the last member of Aerowolf 1 as they get eliminated in 10th. Now, Windstrike, looks like Team Liquid has their sights set on them.
Yeah, and it looks like NIP is hearing this fight. They might be able to get an angle onto Team Liquid if they move up that hill just a little bit. We'll see. My goodness. Team Liquid is absolutely on fire to start today. 6 kills already, knocking out Windstrike here in 9th place, keeping them outside of the points. This is really impressive work here from Team Liquid to box these teams in on the edge of the circle and get themselves some kills.
We do have OMG and Intus Force that are still up and alive. And been kind of quiet so far, but Crystal Luster's last member's at least going to take some shots. Said, hey, maybe I can at least get one more point out of this. New circle has popped directly up in the center right next to where Shoot to Kill, and the remaining member of Tempo Storm, Sharky, still just laying on his belly praying nobody sees him. But it's going to be Crystal Luster that's going to have to do a very difficult rotation. Nice shots coming out from Uncivil, gets it down onto NBS.
STK heating up here, doing a great job, doing some work onto BB, VSG, and Tempo Storm. Now they've got their sights on NIP. 1 knock already for them. Alo looking over. He knows Team Liquid is over there, trying to keep eyes on that. But NIP, they're looking to maybe push up a little bit into the circle here, get a bit of a safer location, but OMG is on their southern flank.
Getting more and more control. OMG's already having to use some smokes just to try to figure out how they're going to make this path back down. They've already taken the shots back over towards Silent. OMG's slowly being forced back over next to where Force is at. OMG's taking a lot of damage. Again, it's this last remaining member of Crystal Luster that is just a thorn in their side. He is outside the blue, and this is going to hurt quite a bit. Not a lot of places for him to go, and is it going to make it? Nope. Nope, he goes down to the blue.
A valiant effort by Weishi, but he does go down. That's Crystal Luster out in 8th place, and Samty's going to pick himself up in AWM here.
Oh man, that's gonna make this a little bit more spicy as we move into the end of this. Last 2 members of VSG are trying to make their way forward. Shoot to Kill, just not gonna let it happen. That's gonna be Dangchi just getting taken down and near on instant flush. Juanita is on, still alive back behind it, but Alo has kind of been the guy that's hanging back over here, making sure they knew that there were members over here, just waiting for him to come forward. But Liquid looking back over towards Sharky. He's got nowhere to go. He's just got a tree and a rock, and it's going to be NBS that's down in front of him, but Yimpty gets a nice shot on the side of it, and Tempo Storm gets eliminated in 7th.
Right, STK doing a great job controlling multiple flanks here. They have VSG over on the east. Juanita doing a great job trying to defend. He does get the knock on Alo, but Purdy Curdy trying to find an angle. He didn't quite see Juanita there, so Juanita for now survives the storm, but here comes a grenade from Purdy Curdy.
Does he know the angle? How's it going to roll down? This is a very interesting spot for it. Not going to connect with this, so we still have a lot of little solos that have been annoying these full squads as they try to make their way through. Nice shots coming out from Indigo. It's going to go ahead and take down the Lion. So now we've got Team Liquid off on one side, NIP just right down below them. Force on one side of it, Shoot to Kill, still getting caught up into a little bit of a fight with Juanita.
Juanita, a one-man wrecking crew over here for VSG. He has been popping off right now. He's got 2 kills. He is doing such a fantastic job surviving. Got the kill. He's got the knock onto Purdy Curdy, trying to keep his angle safe from Uncivil and the other members of STK, but Ibiza!
He's looking the wrong direction. He's caught up in Juanita, and that's going to be Ibiza taking the shot. Somehow Uncivil does make it back into that low ground, narrowly surviving that. Juanita's going to step up and go for the flush over onto Purdy Curdy. So with that, that's a lot of damage now coming out. Uncivil, the last remaining member of Shoot to Kill. Circle does pop, and it makes its way back down towards Force. Team Liquid got control over the north, very aware that there was a little bit of a skirmish going on. They saw the angle that Uncivil was looking at, so now just pushing up and forward. I gotta say, Uncivil, Juanita, you guys have been fighting for quite a while, but you need to unite your forces as Team Liquid is just on the hunt, sitting at 9 kills.
Yeah, this has been Team Liquid's game so far here, boxing out other teams from the circle, controlling these edges so well. This is an amazing performance here from Team Liquid today in games 1 and 2. You've got Entis Force down here on the southern edge of the circle, spreading out along this ridgeline, trying to control as much territory of the circle as they can.
Keep in mind, we have some huge point eaters that are going in. These guys have been just gobbling up every single point inside of this with NIP and Shoot to Kill. Somehow, both of these teams still alive, up and active. Team Liquid showing why there for a period of time, everybody called it Liquimar. They're just absolutely dominating so far. 9 kills that they're sitting on at this point. Right back behind that, we've got Shoot to Kill sitting on a ton of points as well. So now we've got Force. They've got the low ground, trying to figure out how they want to make the moves through here. Juanita does finally get spotted out by Samty, so it's going to be VSG getting eliminated.
Yeah, VSG, great job there by Juanita to stay alive, get a few more points here for VSG, keep them in the running to possibly make it to the grand finals and not get relegated. But right now the big story is Miraku gets the shots down onto Yak, instantly takes him down with that SLR, and now he's looking to push and try to get the flush.
He goes for a side reposition, assuming somebody might go for the res or at least for a peek around this angle. That could be a very nice grenade as it gets a little bit of damage off on this. That's going to force everybody to have to kind of look back towards Yak and figure out what's going on. Look at all the utility that's being wasted it just back over towards Miraku. He does go down by Team Liquid that walks up back behind it, but this is really forced to have to reposition and figure out what is going on. They still have Civil that's on the other side of this, so Forest is actually in the kind of a rough spot right now.
Yeah, definitely in a very rough spot. Team Liquid has a great position here. They've got control over a lot of this circle with that high ground. It's going to be interesting to see how Uncivil plays into this. He's a solo. There's only 2 other teams left. They've both got 4 members up as Entis Force is able to get the res off onto their teammate. So whose team will Uncivil play the spoiler for? Team Liquid or Entis Force, or will he just maybe get knocked out straight away?
He's just right in the middle of it, but you can see Team Liquid aware that he's over there. Remember, they were spotting him out earlier, so that's forced them to send 2 members off on that side. Kale also kind of separating out. You can see it's just a division. There's a line of demarcation that's going straight through the middle of this, and Uncivil is just riding right in between it. He's kind of the defining factor between these 2 squads. Shots now starting to come back and forth between them. Uncivil's got to make his way forward probably about another 10 to 15 meters as he has 2 full squads looking his direction. EB trying to get up, set up for maybe a nice little flank, waiting for somebody to reveal themselves. He's kind of the point man off to the side for Team Liquid. Meanwhile, Yak back up on full health, now making his way inside the safe zone as well.
Yeah, Indigo here. He does have a Kar 98. I like to see this. He's got that bolt action sniper, but Jamty's got the AWN, and he's been landing some darn good shots with it. We saw him get a body shot onto Kale earlier. Kale on that right-hand flank, trying to keep Uncivil off of their backs. They don't want to have Uncivil get a knock onto them, because that will be the go signal for Team Liquid, I imagine, to come in and finish the job.
Well, he's just drawing so many resources right now from both teams. It looks like Team Liquid's finally just gone, that's it. I don't care about this solo over here. We need to focus on the big team. Let the solo make his way inside the circle. We'll take care of him afterwards. Meanwhile, we have Force that's still just trying to figure out where he might be at the time. Kale still hasn't made his way inside the safe zone yet. Still just trying to hold that angle, make sure that Uncivil doesn't choose to approach off this side. Really, it's a lot of people just having to mind game based off of positionings, and Uncivil is kind of a defining factor inside of that. Nobody wants to have that one down come through. They know it's going to be a huge squad fight whenever they have to move forward, and whichever direction Uncivil looks could be huge.
Yeah, Team Liquid trying to poke onto the western flank of Entis Force. Nothing really doing there, so they decide to back off and just try to retain control of the center of the circle here. I think this is a really wise play. They're trying to make sure that Entis Force cannot successfully cross that hill and get into the center, and they maybe lose some control of that area.
Team Liquid just doing such a great job of playing the terrain, playing around it, really trying to move closer and closer in the circle, because remember, we are at circle 9 now. Everything's going to condense down towards the center. With Team Liquid's positioning, they've kind of forced Entis Force. Every single time I say force Entis Force, it just sounds weird. But down into that lower ground position, they haven't been able to really make their way up and forward or really gather too much information. So we've got Uncivil, we saw just a second ago, slowly crawling his way forward, doing his best ninja impression. Yak seems to have an idea on where James is at. The grenade's going to bounce, but not going to connect with it. Going to be going uphill, so it's going to make it a little bit more difficult for grenades off of one angle. Meanwhile, Team Liquid has the luxury of throwing downhill, so it gets a little bit more range off of this, and here we go. You can hear the shots now starting to come back and forth as Samty keeps looking back over those rocks that look so much like a head. But now it's going to be Indigo who reveals himself. Shot goes a little bit wide. Samty's looking back down on that angle. Indigo does manage to make the cross.
Wow, great job here by Entis Force. They're consolidating, moving up, trying to brutalize this right-hand flank of Team Liquid. They're getting a few shots in, but nothing quite landing. Ooh, there's a headshot there onto James. Meanwhile, Uncivil could just hang back, and he's taking some shots into Team Liquid. This could really help out Entis Force, but a nice rip coming in here. Jamty almost gets it, but doesn't get it. James gets knocked in the meantime by Yak.
So that's a little bit of damage that Civil did on one side of it. It's going to be Indigo that actually does take him down, but Yak does go up as goes down as he moves his way up and forward. It's going to be Kale going down as well. This is very back and forth, as I believe there are 2 members up from each squad. Samty's taken a lot of damage as well as Indigo, but EB is right down, making his way through the smokes. He does get taken down by Force, so 2 members now up, but look at this. Samty pops up, retaliates back. This is a 1v1 situation, and it is going to be Team Liquid connecting that up with 15 kills, getting them a round victory.
Great job by Team Liquid to maintain control of that circle. They took the high ground. They kept kind of poking each side, seeing if Uncivil or Entis Force would try to flank them and take advantage of the situation, but no, they were never allowed the opportunity to do that. Fantastic job by Team Liquid. Great job by Entis Force as well to get a second. Only 4 kills for them, but they played that ending circle very well and had a very good chance to win it.
I mean, Team Liquid and Entis Force had a crazy showing inside of that shoot-to-kill NIP, again popping up in those top 5 spots, netting themselves more and more points. Like I was saying, these 2 teams just eat points away from everybody else. VSG coming up in 5th place. I know that brings a smile to your face.
Yeah, I mean, Juanita doing a great great job, Jangtae as well, staying alive. And this has been kind of VSG's MO so far this tournament, is they lose 2 members early on and the other 2 just find a way to get a top 5 and some extra kills and keep them in the running to possibly make it to the grand finals.
Samty coming away with 6 kills, EB with 5. Absolutely great showing from this. So apparently Frankie going down and trying to start some banter is the way that they want to start every single one of their rounds.
This has been just incredible stuff here from Team Liquid. I am just blown away with what I'm seeing. They are playing so aggressively. You can see the OP Gaming Rangers on your screen. They did not have the greatest game. It has been a struggle for them here in this tournament. The #1 team out of the PKL just hasn't gone their way.
You also saw Tempo Storm walking through. Not the biggest of smiles on their faces. That rotation where they ran the 2 motorcycles and had 3 people dropped off of it. That just kind of hits you. That's the problem. Well, I wouldn't say that's a problem, but that's the issue whenever you're running an event like this. You have to be very, very careful. Mentality is so big. We talk about the necessary factor inside of PUBG about just never tilting. Whenever something goes wrong, just rebound off of it, get back in the groove, and get ready to go, because you can have one bad game, but you just got to make sure you don't have several in a row. And I got to say, that's the defining factor for, I feel like, every single one of these teams. They go back, they sit down, they go, okay, that didn't work. What do we need to do to fix it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, we got to jump to our interview with the winners. Team Liquid, this is James. Take it away, Freya.
That is exactly right, guys. Right, there is so much to break down from that match. But I want to go way back to the start where you took down Airwolves 1. You were hungry to get revenge for that last game, right? Can you break that down for me?
I actually don't even remember where we killed them. This game was... Where was that in the beginning? I was north side of the circle, I think. There was not too much going on in the beginning except that, and then, so I don't really remember it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a great showing from you guys. You took down VSG, you took down so many teams, but that final circle, it seemed to be really hectic to start off with. Then there was a little bit of calm. How were you guys setting up for that final fight?
For the final fight, it was really calm. We were all really calm. There was not a lot of players alive, so it was pretty chill. We were just getting ready to hold them because we had the bigger part of the circle than they had.
Yeah, your positioning was definitely an advantage there for you guys. I just want to briefly talk about Shoot to Kill's player, Uncivil. He was the one last player remaining. Was he kind of a distraction for you? Because obviously you were going between them and OGN. Was that a difficult thing to balance?
Yeah, for sure, because when there's a 4v4 fight going on and one player that could sabotage your whole game, that's really difficult. He got empty, I believe, and that almost won the other team the game, but it worked out for us.
Well, especially because Samty was looking on fire in that last moment. What is that like for you as players looking on and spectating? What do you kind of do to allow your teammates to focus?
When you're spectating, you try to give info, but at the same time, you can't give info if he really needs the sound. So you have to find a balance to not give too much info, but at the same time, give fast info if he really needs it. Because you can see things that he doesn't see when you're spectating.
And just finally, to round off, you guys have looked super aggressive today. It seems like you've kind of changed up your game a little bit. You've had the most kills in the last game, and I believe in this game as well. Is that something you're focusing on, that aggression?
Yeah, a little bit towards Circle 4 this game. We started getting aggro, and it's been working good for us.
And finally, just to wrap up, we saw back in your first day of games, you had such a strong start, but then you kind of fell off a little bit. Are you going to be doing anything particular to keep up a consistent form?
Well, we're going Erangel with Pochinki with Cloud9, so that's just what it is, you know. We're probably not going to be consistent on Erangel, but on Miramar, we're definitely going to be consistent.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting into this next match. Claris, let's break it down at the desk.
Thank you very much, Freya. In the dry, barren deserts of Miramar, it is Team Liquid filling up these circles all the way as they get themselves a first place after the second place in our first game of day number 3 here for the group stages. Joining me, Toffees, as well as Avenger. Boys, Team Liquid looked absolutely on fire in that last game.
I mean, I want to act like I'm surprised, but I'm not. I mean,
sure.
They played Miramar. The first day they got a 12.67 PPG on Miramar last time, and now they're at 13. So this is just par for the course. But it's crazy to me that that's the nature of this team, is par for the course is insane excellence, and it's been impressive.
What's impressive to me is that they, in 2 games, have made 42 points.
What?
6 games, day 1 was 41. So they made 1 more point in just 2 games. So they are coming off with a banger. So already now we can just guarantee them they're 100% going to be in the grand final, which is amazing for them. But that's going to be extremely interesting going into when we got into Erangel, because that's where Cloud9 have been doing so far.
And they need to make some room.
So they need to make some room here.
Yeah.
But especially here, we've seen on the replays here, Nerf putting some pressure on too long from Crystal Luster here, and kind of some of these nades, it's just, you can see how the nade meta really pays off and everything.
I had to make a correction. I did my math like ridiculously wrong. They're up to 21 points per game for Miramar right now.
Yeah,
so an insane jump.
Really good.
But again, that's just the nature of the way that they play. They're playing aggressive and they're playing confident. I think that's what you get from the interviews early on when they were just sort of joking around. They're here, they're ready to play. And they know that no matter what happens, they're advancing. I'm terrified for Cloud9 now because I think these guys, they might drop on them in the next one. They're going to start messing with them. They're so comfortably qualified, they don't have to worry about it anymore.
You can see here in the final moments, OG and Entus Force getting themselves a few extra, very much needed points as well here for one of our Korean rosters, getting themselves up towards that second place spot. And that is going to be it here from the highlights, brought to you by NVIDIA. And that is it. We have tons of teams to talk about as well here. Shoot to Kill getting themselves a third place. They're already truly in a great spot when it comes to the points, but that little bit extra kick that everybody is looking for here, even just as a statement almost, as Shoot to Kill getting themselves another third.
It was a good bounce back. They had a terrible first game, and in this game, it actually started pretty rough for them as well. They got caught again dealing with Aerowolf, and they bounced back from that. So it shows a strong mentality and a strong leadership that despite 2 games in a row where they got in trouble within the first minute, that in the second game they were able to bounce back and get 7 kills in a third place.
Which is hugely important for them as well, because you got to remember, they're most likely not playing in the sudden death tomorrow, so they want to have some good game. They want to have some momentum. They want to come feeling comfortable going into the grand final. So this is a really good kind of beginning of the date for them.
Yeah, let's take a look back at how Team Liquid, though, was able to win out this game, of course, because it started pretty early as they started racking up kills, and the Finn brothers themselves were a phenom throughout the entirety of the game, to be perfectly honest.
So especially here on the northern side, where they came in and kind of the decision-making, where they should come in the zone is a really good spot, but they just put so much pressure. You can see everybody's just focused on the northwestern side, gatekeeping everybody. They have 2 guys playing together all the time when they're kind of front point men. They're making sure that they're running together, so if there's any refrags, any knocks, then they can turn it around, make sure that they don't lose any players, because going into the end game is so important, having those all 4 guys alive.
I mean, in some of those earlier fights as well, even when you look at the mini-map, you see all 4 members of Team Liquid firing on one target, bringing it down as fast as possible, transitioning to the next target. So their training is immaculate.
Yeah, I mean, other teams run 1 turret. These guys run 4 homing missiles. They're absolutely unstoppable. And I mean, even to the point in the interview, oh, what'd you think about that first fight? And he was like, I don't remember it. Like, we killed so many people.
It was like 15 kills. We killed like 25% of the servers.
Right. It's like an interview with a serial killer, right? Do you remember your first fight? No, man, it was just easy. So it's just ridiculous how good these guys are at taking people out. And this is starting to feel like sort of a return to that Liquid. Remember between StarLadder 1 and 2 when Liquid was just really tough to deal with? They were always in the top 3. How do you stop this juggernaut? It's starting to feel that way again.
Let's take a look at our X Factor of the match as well here, brought to you, of course, by the lovely HyperX. And, well, I'm pretty sure I know who this is going to be, especially when it came towards the end. Samty stands out. Not only at Norm, but also his spray control towards the end was fantastic as well.
Yeah, obviously, him picking up a 8 was amazing, but his play towards the end here was really important. We see Samty here knocking down Yak, and then here he takes down Indigo, and he takes the 1v1 in the end towards Sung Yang. And in that fight with Entus Force, he basically 1v3'd. Yes. He had 3 1v1s and won all of them. That's amazing. Super well played by Samty here.
And it's crazy to me that if I think back to an interview we had in Stockholm with him and his brother, how they talked about how really Jemty was, I think, the one who wanted to play the game. He sort of dragged Samty along with him. And it's like, man, imagine if he hadn't come. We have this prolific player who's probably one of the best, is one of the best in the world, just like probably top 3, that we almost didn't have playing PUBG in the first place. So thanks, bro.
Thank you very much indeed. And with that, let's check in with the leaderboards here that are going to be going down so far. Do bear in mind, the locks are from groups B here, so they are not gaining any more points, whereas everybody else is playing today and is currently earning points. NIP is just absolutely smashing out of the park. What do you think, Avenger?
So Tempo Storm, 60 points, 5 more points, and they're in the top 8.
Yep.
And that's going to most likely guarantee them as well. But we already have 3 teams here. So ENCE, MP5, and Brazilian Crusaders, they're guaranteed going to the Sudden stage tomorrow. But for me, it kind of looks like we're going to see Tempo Storm, VSG, and most likely Cloud9, maybe Aerowolf 1, maybe Windstrike also take one of the spots here. So it's really interesting. But Afrika, they just had such an amazing run the first 2 days that they're 100% locked in. They're still sitting on the #1 spot.
We have an amazing lineup, actually. You just get to look at that, the opportunity of looking at that, and you think to yourself, the current reigning world champion.
Yeah, I'm excited about Armory Gaming in 17 is a big one for me because these guys I think thought they might be a little safer than they were coming in today. 70, I don't know if that's going to be the safe spot anymore. We got a couple of teams that are knocking on the door, and I think it's going to be an 80 cutoff.
And honestly, I'm very surprised to see kind of the third half of what we have here. We have OB Gaming Rangers, amazingly played from them in their league. OMG's down there as well. Blue Beast. Some of these teams have been #1 in their region, so I'm really surprised to see them down there. I'm hoping to see that these last 4 games to really kind of step it out and kind of make sure they get into the top pack. So when you go into the sudden death, that they can actually make a comeback.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, there for breaking all of that down as we continue on. Very, very high hopes for a lot of these teams trying to push themselves forwards, or even if they go into elimination, they're trying to keep their spirits high there as well. We're going to go to a short break, ladies and gentlemen. When we return, more here from the FACEIT Global Summit PUBG Classic. Don't go anywhere.
Let's go! Thank you, beast!